there's no one right answer to this, but like, what's your take on people kind of abandoning the straight insurance model going in? Because I know that this is super controversial. People want to know what to do. I would say my opinion is depends on where you live. That's the first thing, and then what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think it starts from a fundamental level of not understanding how insurance claims work. And insurance claims for decades since, before I got into the business, were operating dysfunctionally. They're
Yeah.
operating wrong, not the way that insurance actually works, but contractors were telling a customer to file a claim with providing no evidence, no anything. Maybe they took some pictures on their phone or their camera back in the day. The
Mhm.
adjusters were then proving the loss for the policyholder, and they were paying it reasonably well. Right. And maybe you send in a few supplements, a few missed items, whatever, but that worked for a long time.
Mhm.
And then I think contractors who, again, that's most everybody grew up in that. That was their experience. Then when they saw all of a sudden the adjuster's not proving this loss for us, those crooks, well, it was never the adjuster's job. And I laugh all the time in, social media groups and stuff. You'll get contractors that are like, the adjuster didn't do his job. And it's not his job. It's not his job to prove the loss. His job is to look at what evidence has been presented for the loss that is being claimed. If no evidence has been presented, they have a really low standard of what they actually have to do.
Mhm.
And so I don't know why they would pay any claim that hasn't been supported, right? Like when I got rear ended here a few weeks ago, and like if I was just like, hey, send me $15,000, my car got damaged for sure. They'd be like, can we have some pictures of your car? And I'm like, no, no, you can't have pictures of my car. Well, can we look at it? Maybe, can we have an invoice? Can you do something? Right? Like it'd be ridiculous. Right. And so we go through, hey, like here's what happened. Here's the police report. Here's the everything. That's what makes sense. And so roofing was, I think, just in this weird place where the adjusters were carrying the policyholder's duty for them. And
Yeah.
then the insurance companies realized they were like, wait a second, we don't have to do that. And most customers, they've been, these contractors have been lulled to sleep. And so when contractors realize, one, you don't need to be a public adjuster to inspect and document something, to understand what caused that damage, right? To understand what the method or scope of repairs should be. And by God, figuring out how much that should cost. I want to slap every contractor that I hear that's like, oh, I'm not going to write an estimate for a roof. That's what you do.
Yeah.
And I hear these things. And so there's all these things. It's been operating dysfunctionally when you realize, look, there's so many things I can do. I can't apply coverage, right? I can't say you have coverage for hail damage. Therefore, the insurance company owes for this bill. You can say hail did this damage. I don't know if you have coverage, right? I don't know if you have an insurance policy, right? You can't negotiate a settlement. You can't horse trade with them. You can't figure out, hey, we're going to do this and that. Like it's not your job. Not a public adjuster. You can't interpret the policy and say because it says this, here's what you have to do. But you can absolutely do a lot of things. You can act as an expert. You can lay out all the facts. You can help that customer prove their loss. My car got rear-ended. Here's pictures of it. Here's the parts that got damaged, right? Like my roof got damaged by hail. And here's the photos of it. And here's how we know it's hail. And here's when it happened. And here's all the things. And you present that to the carrier. And lo and behold, they pay it. Crazy thing. And so I think I see a lot of contractors, the guys that are going, oh, we're going retail. And they don't really mean they're going retail. They mean they're doing insurance claims, but they're just sending an invoice and they're not
Yeah.
helping that customer prove their loss. So they've got this disparity between what the insurance company wants to pay because nobody's proven this loss, which might be nothing, right? Or might be very little, and what the contractor wants to charge. And they're bridging that gap instead of actually proving the loss. They're bridging that gap with financing. They're bridging that gap with customer coming out of pocket, or more often, they're bridging that gap by the customer finding somebody else in their marketplace who will actually help them prove their loss and help them get their claim paid so that they don't have to come out of pocket that difference. And so all
Yeah.
these guys that are switching retail, instead of just, I don't know, doing a photo report and putting together a little summary of what's going on and writing your estimate, it's not that hard to do. They're just going, well, I'm gonna back out of this entirely. They're leaving a huge chunk of the market to the guys who will.
Yeah, that makes sense.